like this shot, but maybe it's just a little bit too early in the day for it. Hello, you join me in Istanbul again. We're currently up in Üsküdar, which is a little sort of coastal town, a little bit further north from where we are, staying on the Asian side of Istanbul. And I'm currently out with the Viltrox 55mm f1.8 Evo lens. I've actually tested the 85mm as well, the f2 Evo, and I really liked that when I was using it last year. But this lens is definitely much more my style, but still not quite wide enough for me. Really, I'm most excited to test out the 35mm Evo from Viltrox. I think it looks really, really nice, and I'm hopefully gonna test it out pretty soon. But this 55 has actually got me shooting slightly different street photography to what I usually shoot, and I've been quite enjoying it. This video is not sponsored by Viltrox in any way. However, I do have an affiliate link, I think, so I'll drop that in the description below if it's active, and you can use that if you do decide to pick up one of these lenses after seeing this video. If you use that, it won't cost you anything extra if you do pick one up, but I'll receive a small commission at the end, which helps the channel, helps make more videos like this one. So first I want to get into the overall look, feel, vibe of this lens. It is pretty compact. It currently has a lens hood on, so it looks a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, but overall it is very, very small. It's like 7 centimeters-ish in actual length without the lens hood, and it only weighs, I think it's like 370 grams. So it's pretty light, and on something like the A7C II, it's like a nice, really balanced, compact setup, especially given the fact that it has an f1.8 aperture, is 55mm, and has other features like a dedicated function button. So along with the function button, you also have an autofocus, manual focus selector switch, and you have the ability to click or declick the aperture ring. One notable thing about the aperture though, you can only go from f1.8 up to f16. Sorry, quick cat related interlude. Oh, he's a tired boy or gal. Tired guy or gal. I'm actually planning to do a full video of just cat photography next week. It's gonna be sick. Remember to subscribe if you want to see that one. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, anyway, design aside, how does it actually perform? Well, let's start with photography. I have been shooting quite a lot, pretty wide open, just because, you know, when you have an f1.8 lens, it is tempting to. I'm not a big bokeh person, but this lens does produce really nice bokeh, so I have been having a bit of a play around with it. And in photography mode, you can obviously just crank up your shutter, and it doesn't really affect the overall look. Although I was using a VND a lot of the time, so that also did help me kind of control my settings a little bit. But overall, I would say the image quality at f1.8 is pretty solid. It's definitely sharp in the centers. I'm not a big like checking the corner sharpness person, but overall, I think it does get a bit soft in the edges, if I was being completely honest. But once you stop down a little bit to like f2.8, f4 and above, it looks pretty good. You're not gonna have very many issues on that front. Then when it comes to video, and actually exposing in video, because I was using a variable ND filter, I was hoping I'd be able to shoot wide open quite a lot. But as you can see, Istanbul is incredibly sunny, like every single day. So every single day I've been out shooting with this camera, it has been bright and sunny, even into the evenings and stuff. It doesn't get particularly dim. So I've only been stopping down to about, or only opening up, sorry, to about f3.5, f5.6, 6.3. But overall, I really like the kind of background separation we have been getting, even without going all the way wide open for video. Touching on autofocus for a second, going back to photography, I would say in general it has been really, really snappy and responsive, especially given the fact that I've been shooting in like autofocus, continuous tracking, like subject detection. I think it's been doing a really good job of locking onto subjects, tracking them and staying with them. And I have also been doing a little bit of autofocus to lock on my focus point, then toggling into manual focus just to lock my focal distance, and then allowing people to pass through the frame just so I can get like slightly different layered shots like this one that I got. That I wouldn't really have been able to do that if I was in autofocus continuous, because it would have been trying to like hop on to the foreground subjects, which I didn't want on that particular occasion. And when it comes to the video side of autofocus, honestly, same sort of story. It's been really, really good. I feel like in video you notice missed focus moments a little bit less, because it might miss focus for like a few frames and then it grabs it again. And as long as it's not pulsing foreground to background, it's not really going to make an awful lot of difference to your final video clips. And in general, I typically shoot video autofocus just to lock on my frame, and then I toggle into manual focus to lock off the focus aspect of the composition. Now, this lens, of course, is a 55mm and not a 50mm. Usually you're looking at like a 50mm f1.8 from like Sony, from Canon, like the nifty 50 style thing. So why would you choose a 55mm over a 50mm? I can't give you a super thoughtful, in-depth opinion on that. I think the extra 5mm kind of just makes me think I'm shooting with a Zeiss, because there's that old Zeiss f1.8 55mm for Sony. In general, do you notice the 5mm difference? For me, as someone who doesn't shoot 50mm an awful lot, I haven't really noticed the difference too much. I don't think it's, you know, distracting in any way. I don't really think it makes an awful lot of difference. And I think when it comes to like a portrait shot or something, like this little kitty here, it's, you know, it all looks pretty nice. I love that I was just saying that about, oh, nice f1.8 portrait lens, and then I just took a photo of a cat at f8. That's my usual thing. I'm usually stopping down a lot of the time to f5.6, f8. That's kind of where I'm more comfortable. When it comes to photography, I much prefer having a little bit of detail in the foreground and the background, rather than just separating completely. Now, I have owned the Sony 50mm f1.8. I've owned a couple of other, you know, third-party f1.8s in the past, and luckily we've gotten to this really great point where the third-party lenses are no longer coming with a whole load of trade-offs. Like, you know, you're not getting crazy vignetting, although there is a little bit of vignette on this. When you shoot wide open, it's very easy to correct in Lightroom or whatever software you want to use. In general, those trade-offs are getting a lot smaller, and I think, especially from brands like Viltrox, it is actually getting far less noticeable compared to what it used to be like. It used to be like you shoot on a Sony first-party lens and it's like super clean optically, no imperfections, and then you shoot on a third party and it's like there's no contrast, there's flaring, there's vignette, and it's just a bit ugly. But over the last couple of years, that story has like completely changed. So if you are looking into a 50mm or a 55mm, for me, this 100% has my confidence. And I'm really excited to test out the 35mm f1.8 Evo from Viltrox very soon. And I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed all the photography I've shot around Istanbul with this lens, and also the video. Honestly, pairing this with a Moments in Bloom and a VND for a bit of photography is just an absolute dream. And to sort of see the reflection, its own reflection. Anyway, a nice little kitty photo to end the video. But yes, I will be back next week with a not too similar video to this, but just shooting on another very bright aperture lens actually, doing some cat photography in Istanbul. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get some nice vibes. I'll have a bag of cat food to reward them for their modelling, and it should be good. I'll see you in the next one.